All right, let's dive into the mind of one of philosophy's most, let's say, famous pessimists, Arthur Schopenhauer. Now, I know his ideas can seem really dark, but stick with me because they offer this incredibly powerful explanation for a feeling that, honestly, I think every single one of us has had at some point in our lives.
You know that feeling? Like you're just running on a hamster wheel. You work so hard for something, you finally get it, and then what's next? That little buzz of satisfaction, it just fades away, right? And almost instantly, there's a new thing you want, a new problem to solve. It's just this endless, exhausting cycle.
While Schopenhauer, he took that feeling very seriously. So seriously, in fact, that he built his entire philosophy around explaining it. He wasn't trying to sell you some feel-good platitudes or easy answers. No, he wanted to be like a doctor and diagnose the fundamental root cause of what he saw as the deep, inescapable suffering of just being alive. Whoa. Okay, so that's pretty bleak, right? But you've got to understand this wasn't just him trying to be edgy. As a young man, Schopenhauer traveled a lot, and he was just floored by the sheer amount of poverty and misery he saw everywhere. I mean, from the slums of London to the chaos after the French Revolution, he looked around and saw a world that just seemed fundamentally broken. And that's what led him to this dark, dark conclusion. So the big question for him became, why? What is the hidden engine, the underlying mechanism that makes life feel like this? Okay, so to answer that question, Schopenhauer starts by basically blowing up our whole concept of reality. He says that the world you see, the world you're touching right now, it's not the real world, not even close. He called this world that we think is real the representation. And the best way to think about it is like this. Imagine you are born wearing a virtual reality headset, and you can never, ever take it off. Everything you experience, the screen you're looking at, the chair you're sitting in, even your own hands, it's all being filtered and basically built by your mind. It's all governed by these pre-installed operating rules, things like time, space, and causality. So what you're living in isn't objective reality. It's a subjective one, almost like a dream that we're all experiencing together. So hang on, if our world is just a representation, this huge, elaborate illusion being projected into our minds, that leads to a massive question, doesn't it? What's behind the curtain? If all the separate individual things we see are just constructs of our brain, then what is the real thing? The thing in itself that's running the whole show? And this is Schopenhauer's giant, game-changing answer. He believed he had figured it out. He'd found the secret cosmic engine that powers literally everything. He called this force the will. Now, this part is absolutely crucial. When he says will, do not think of willpower, like deciding to go to the gym. That's not it at all. The will is a blind, unconscious, primal force. Think of it like a cosmic hunger, a relentless, restless, striving energy that has no goal, no purpose, other than to just keep on striving. This is the thing in itself hiding behind the dream world of our representation. And what's so wild is how this one single force shows up everywhere, in everything. The will is the gravity that keeps planets in orbit. It's that stubborn little plant that somehow pushes its way through a crack in the concrete just to get to the sun. It's the raw survival instinct you see in an animal. And yeah, in us, it's every single desire you've ever felt. Hunger, thirst, ambition, that deep biological urge to reproduce, it's all the same thing. They're all just different faces of the same blind cosmic striving. And this is where it gets really personal. Schopenhauer says your body, your actual physical body, is just the will made visible. Think about it. Your teeth and your stomach, they didn't create hunger. They are hunger made physical. Your genitals, they are the reproductive drive made physical. We are literally walking, talking embodiments of this cosmic hunger. So, if we are fundamentally made of this relentless, blind striving, well, you can probably start to see where all the trouble comes from. This is it. This is the source of all our suffering. And here is the trap, laid out perfectly. It starts when the will creates a desire inside you, that feeling of lack, of needing something. And let's be honest, wanting something you don't have is a kind of pain, right? So we strive, we struggle, we work for it. And maybe, if we're lucky, we get it. And for a split second, there's satisfaction. But what happens next? It's gone. Poof. And in its place is either crushing boredom or a brand new desire. And the whole miserable cycle just starts all over again. We're basically puppets, and the will is the one pulling all the strings. Now, does this idea of a powerful, hidden, unconscious force driving all our behavior, does that ring a bell? It should, because Schopenhauer was so far ahead of his time on this. It took about 50 years after he wrote his masterpiece for someone else to come along, pick up this core idea, and repackage it for the modern world. And that someone would become one of the most famous thinkers ever. I'm talking about Sigmund Freud. Seriously, look at the parallels between Schopenhauer's will and Freud's id. They're almost identical. Both are described as this primitive, irrational, unconscious part of us, the source of all our primal urges, sex, aggression, you name it, that just constantly demands to be satisfied. You could honestly say that Schopenhauer discovered the id about 50 years before Freud even gave it a name. Okay, so let's recap. We're trapped. We're puppets of a blind cosmic force that pretty much guarantees we live a life of constant, unsatisfying struggle. It is a super grim picture, but Schopenhauer didn't just leave us there in the dark. He actually offered a way out, a radical path to finding some kind of peace. And his solution is wild. He says the only way out isn't to satisfy the will. I mean, we've already seen that's a game you can't win. No, the only way to get true peace is to silence it. To look at this cosmic force inside you and just say no, to basically starve it out by denying all of its urges. So how do you do that? He laid out a 3-step path. It starts with a huge intellectual light bulb moment. You have to truly grasp that your individual self is just an illusion, part of that representation dream. In reality, we are all just different faces of the one single suffering will. And once you really get that, it leads directly to step 2, deep universal compassion. Because if we're all one, then your pain is literally my pain. And that profound feeling of compassion then leads to the final step, asceticism. Living a simple, almost monastic life where you consciously deny the body's demands for pleasure, for status, for more. By doing that, you quiet the will and maybe, just maybe, find some peace. This quote really gets to the heart of his whole ethical system. Think about it. If the same blind will is what drives the lion to kill the lamb, then on a deep, metaphysical level, they're the same thing. They're just two actors playing different parts in the same tragic drama. And that, for Schopenhauer, is the ultimate reason for compassion. It's the key to getting past our own selfish little ego. And really, that's where Schopenhauer leaves us, with this incredibly dark diagnosis of what it means to be alive, but also a very difficult, very demanding path to escape it. And it forces us to ask ourselves a really tough question. Are we just puppets, doomed to be jerked around by our own desires forever? Or is it possible that through understanding, through compassion, we can actually, finally cut the strings?